Hello there, Virgo, and welcome to your February forecast. Really great to see everyone again. I hope that this month is getting off to a great start for you. As always, I like to begin the monthly forecast with a little bit of channeled information. And if you're not familiar with the channel, I achieve this when I look at the deck of cards that I'm going to use to read with, and then I also meditate. For you, as I was tuning into your sign, the main thing that came to my heart and to my mind was taking care of yourself. It was almost like I felt like this big hug of energy around me. So the message that I'm giving you this month is to nurture yourself, to nurture those around you. And if you're feeling okay, if you're feeling loved, if you're feeling like everything's in a good place, this is also about nurturing something that's important to you. So whatever it is that you want to try to create or try to bring into existence, this is a card of putting energy, putting time into that. This can also be someone in your life as well. So if you're feeling very generous, expand that nurturing energy to others. And if you're feeling a little bit depleted, pull that nurturing energy within. All right, now let's go ahead and get to the reading portion. For those of you, again, that are new, this is how I organize it. I start off with a Celtic cross, which I'll be pulling in a moment, and then I expand it to look at health, wealth, love, and destiny. All right, let's go ahead now and shuffle the cards. At this point, I remain quiet just so that I can observe them just like you. See what the cards have to show. In addition to these, the cards here that are in the Celtic Cross, I like to look at a catalyst. And for me, this catalyst card really brings together everything that we're looking at. So let's see what this catalyst is today. Okay, so we have the tree card in reverse. For me, the first thing that I look at when I see this is the fact that your grounding or your ability to sort of stay on top of your emotions is one thing that you want to focus on this month. Try not to let people push your buttons or put you into a place where you're feeling like you doubt yourself. The second thing that I see when I'm looking at this is some of you may be feeling pulled or tugged from your family. I always think of the family tree when I pull this card. So if your family needs some of your time and energy, decide exactly how much is necessary to provide. And at a certain point, there may be an opportunity for you to either say no or push back or decide, again, if it's worth the sacrifice of time and energy. So you will be the best judge of that, but just be aware that some limits are going to be needed to be put up this month, and also for you, you're going to have to practice your own sense of grounding and understanding what your priorities are. All right, let's take a look now at the rest of the cards. Right at the center, we have the Four of Wands. Although it's in a reverse state, this is a very positive card. This is speaking to the opportunity this month of balancing all the relationships. You see a lot of other Wands cards here, so I see a lot of interactions between other people. For some of you, developments in regards to your projects, and also if you're brainstorming or coming up with new ideas, there's going to be a lot of movement in both directions, in revisions, in new drafts. So be patient and be diligent with that. We'll get into that in a moment. So let me pull the camera up, and I'm going to use these cards in front of us so you can see them a little bit better. So again, Four of Wands, foundational card. When we look at the Six of Cups, this is a card of community. And so the two of these fit in very nicely together. And this is a card where through your outreach, through your creativity, through also being sort of open, amiable, and friendly, you can accomplish quite a bit. So when we look at the two, the way to sort of flip this around is really to do as much work as you can on team building if you're at work. If you're looking at families or other situations in your life, it's about getting to understand what the person's point of view is. So for those of you that might be trying to, like if you're a salesperson, you're trying to land a new client, you need to really understand why they would be interested in what you're trying to sell. So doing your homework, really making sure that people understand that you care about them, you're invested in their point of view, that's going to create success for you. And that's going to balance out that Four of Wands, even though that's usually a very balanced card, the reversal showing a little bit of extra work on your part to set up the foundations. When I'm looking at the deep past, there may be a chance to repair something that went awry, maybe either in January or December or November of last year. The Five of Cups card is one where especially as illustrated here, there could have been a moment where you just decided it wasn't worth the energy or the effort to try to fix a relationship, or you might have left an argument sort of hanging and have the person holding on to your words, and that's not really what you want to do. The other thing with the Five of Cups card is this is a chance for you to embrace what's possible, to embrace what's left. So if there was something that happened, this can just be a disappointment. It doesn't have to be attached to a relationship. But if there was something that happened over the past couple of months where you felt a little deflated, or you felt that it just, like, you're giving it your best but nothing worked out, this card is reminding you that there's still a lot of positive energy associated with the work you've done. So if you're an artist, for instance, don't throw out something that you've been working on. You may be able to repurpose it. You may be able to take it and now, with a new set of eyes or ears or whatever it is that you're working on, tweak it a little bit, and suddenly it's exactly what you were looking for. Distance, time often adds a sense of objectivity that you lose in the moment. So take a deep breath and try to preserve what you can and build from there. And that's really why we have that Four of Wands at the center. It's building on something that already exists. As we're looking at the energy at the beginning of the month, quite fortunate, quite supportive. We have the Three of Wands. This is a card where you start to see some sort of tangible feedback that what you're doing is being received by others. Often this card is illustrated by someone looking out on the horizon and they see ships coming towards them. And it is saying that stay on track, do what you're doing. You're going to start to see that your goals are coming into manifestation, into fruition. So encouragement that whatever you've decided to focus on, I wouldn't relent. I would keep up with it. Now, your crowning card is one where you want to be careful about how you receive feedback from others, particularly if they're telling you that they think that there should be a revision, or that you could do better, or that there's room for improvement. Whenever I see the Seven of Wands card, it's great because it shows that you can manage quite a lot of activity or a lot of pressure or whatever. You're very capable of multitasking. The reversal of this card shows that you may take things, you may have so much accountability and so much investment in whatever you're working on that you take things personally. In a relationship, this can mean that if someone just comes to you and says, I really would like it if we could do this instead of this, it's almost like the roof came down. You start to think, oh my God, I'm a failure. I thought I was doing stuff right. They don't know me. This is basically, this card says, relax. It was one piece of feedback. Take a look at the entire relationship that you have, and if it's just one piece, maybe there's validity to it. Maybe it's not such a big deal. So try to understand the context before you react. And the other part of this card is encouraging those of you that have a lot on your plate, whether it's, again, maybe you're the main person in the household that manages everything. This card is saying, don't be afraid to delegate to others, to ask for help, to speak up and let people know that there's a lot going on and you could use a hand. Communicate and also validate assumptions. If you do that, the Seven of Wands is a manageable card. And again, it's also kind of kudos to you because you can do quite a bit more than others, comparably can manage. So that part of it is good. Just don't take on so much that you're overwhelmed and you snap a little bit. That's what you want to try to avoid this month. Now, as I'm looking at the near future, we're looking probably about 2 weeks into the month, and also kind of a prediction of the next couple of months to come. It's looking good. We have the Nine of Wands here. This is a card of near completion, and it's one where it's basically, if I could caption it, would say like you're a survivor, you can handle anything that comes your way. What this card is really illustrating is sometimes we get weighed down at the very end of a journey, and you're so far down the path it makes no sense to turn around, especially if you've worked hard to get where you're at. So this is a card of encouragement. It reminds you to look over your shoulder occasionally and celebrate the progress, and then take a look at what's left and realize, I can do this. This is easy compared to what I just came through. And of course, this can be applied to anything, whether it's struggles in your life to get out of debt, to get through a difficult emotional time, to try to get fit, whatever it is you're trying to do in your life, you can manage it because you've come this far. You've survived so many other things. So this is a card showing you have more than enough motivation and internal strength to make it happen. Try to factor in a couple of days of downtime where you're not 100% aligned to trying to get stuff done. In a relationship, this is about fighting for something that you think is worth it. This is usually, if I'm doing a couples read, this comes up when you've been through a lot, you've resolved a lot of issues, but there's still this sense of tension of, why can't we get to a place that's easy? So this is a card to really give it a little bit extra before throwing in the towel. So whatever you're trying to decide on, should I continue? This card is saying, yeah, try a little bit more before you give up. If everything's going well in your life, this is just showing you that you're tracking really well on your goals and aspirations. 9 versus 10. 10 is completion, 9 is near completion. So it's just a validation that you're on the right track, you should continue, and if you're doing well, then enjoy that because you work to get where you are. It's also a card of qualification. So for those of you that are perhaps looking to see, can I get a raise or some sort of an advancement this year, this card shows that if you continue to work well and communicate well to others, then yes, that's a great possibility. Now, when I'm looking at your ego this month, there is a sense of instability. We have the Two of Swords. This Two of Swords, though, has less to do with what's going on within. It has more to do with how you are perceiving others. Some of you may actually fear this face-to-face kind of conflict or conversation. This card is encouraging you to look past your own fears, your own insecurities. Realize that everybody has that same sort of fear sometimes if they have to discuss something that's uncomfortable, or even if they have to get up in front of an audience. This card is saying it's more like a mirror than you think. People around you have sort of the same core fears, hopes, and aspirations. So assume that you can get through this, and also assume the best of others. See how you've called them into your life, see pieces of yourself in other people, and if you do this, I think that you're going to be able to overcome whatever fears you have with confrontation, public speaking, or going after what you want. One of your biggest challenges as I look in the environment this month is, how can you rein in your emotions? This card is saying, don't let your emotions pull you off course. That speaks again to our Catalyst card, which is about having a lack of grounding or not feeling like you understand where you're headed. Take some time, nurture yourself. Also do the same for others in your life. If you feel okay, but you're noticing that this is in your environment, so you could see other people around you feeling that they're off center, check in with them and just say, you're doing a great job. I just wanted to say thank you. And also, are you okay? Do you need some time off? Or you want to go get a coffee together? Just use that nurturing energy for yourself and others. And I think that's going to be sort of your way of having a breakthrough wherever the challenges exist for you. Now, as we're looking at the Hopes and Fears card, we have the Five of Pentacles. Now, if you read this at face value, there could absolutely be some challenges this month with your budget. I always like to see 6 or above when it comes to Pentacles. 6 is showing that there's an abundance, maybe not a great abundance, but when you rein in and you sort of delegate and decide accordingly, you can have more than enough. With the 5, this is where you're even or slightly below, and it's usually slightly below, especially with this reversal. So what I'm intuiting from the placement of this and also just the definition of this card is, you definitely want to make sure that you are mindful of how much money's coming in, how much money's going out. This is a card that also deals with how people feel about, not just about you, but how they feel that they're being appreciated. So, I keep going back to the message about nurturing. This is where you want to give positive feedback and say, thank you so much for doing X, Y, Z. It was absolutely paramount to the success of this project or whatever. Or you can say to someone in your life that you love, thank you so much for always, making breakfast. It makes my mornings so much easier than, whatever it is. Just find something that you can do to affirm and to support these people in your life that are doing maybe small things, but that make a big difference, and they need to hear it. And so that's one thing, is that you might be taking for granted the small gestures or even the big gestures that people are doing. And so you want them to know that you are invested in what they're doing and you're appreciative and you value them. So it's about value and investment. That's really what that Five of Pentacles can mean. And finally, it's about self-worth, because it can also be you not feeling like you're being appreciated. So you want to make sure that other people understand and appreciate what you're bringing forth. And that's tricky, but that's something that you can kind of explore this month. One last piece on this, because it is in hopes and fears, so some of you may be experiencing this differently. Do pay attention to health overall. This can happen, this card can come up, I should say, when you are neglecting something in your life with health and well-being. So when we look at our health card, we'll see if anything comes through. But overall, you just want to be mindful of how do I feel? What am I putting into my body? And also around you, is there anyone else who is hurting or in pain or somehow not themselves? If so, this card is reminding you this is a good time to help them or to try to bring it to their attention. The outcome card is great. We have the 10 of Wands, and this shows me completion. Whatever you were trying to set out to do at the beginning of the month, just like we saw with the 3 of Wands, you should see tangible success or some sort of an update helping you understand that you're on the right track and things are happening. This is also a card that can be indicative of travel or moves. So some of you may be considering some sort of a big life shift. I don't necessarily see it happening 100% this month, but towards the end you might get the first indications that there's an opportunity to do something big, to make a big change in your life. So if that's something that feels good, you can do it, but otherwise I think take a pause, because this is one of the few 10 of Wands cards that doesn't show the person moving towards the eventuality of whatever is coming through. It's let me think about it, or let me make some plans, and then I'm going to do it. So consider whatever the big change is, because sometimes there's no going back, especially if it's something like selling a house and moving. You want to make sure that, or transferring to another division, you want to make sure that you're doing something that feels 100% good to you. All right, let's now expand the forecast, and we'll start with the health card. For me, health is all-inclusive, mind, body, and spirit. Let's take a look and see what the card has to say about this month. And again, I did mention there might be a connection to this, so let's see if there's anything you have to be mindful of. So I feel like it's much more of an emotional 5 of Pentacles that we were looking at here, because this card has to do with regret. Regret can weigh heavily on you, and it can sometimes manifest as stomach pains, heartburn, migraines, clenching of your jaw. And so whatever it is in your body where you might be holding on to the feeling of pain, regret, etc., you want to sort of do some soul searching and think about what it is that you can do to either resolve that or talk to someone about this, but do pay attention to that. If you're not feeling regret, this is also a chakra-based card system that I'm using. This is based on your first chakra. So again, this goes back to, are you feeling grounded? Are you feeling rooted? And I think what this is telling you to do is to spend some time with quiet. And I've mentioned this to another sign this month. Really want you to just focus on what comes into your mind and your state of being when you let everything kind of go. And the other thing with this, because this is a very grounded card, you can take a look at what your diet includes. I've mentioned in previous readings that if you're trying to ground yourself, you can use like root vegetables. You can make a shake with beets. You could create a dinner with mashed potatoes. You can do anything that really grows in the ground. Onions are good, carrots are good, and try to eat things that are grounded or from the earth and live in the earth quite a while. The other thing you can do is to use some crystals in meditations. And let me pull one of my favorites here. This is it's a geode of sorts that hasn't really been cracked open. It has a beautiful sort of ice blue color to it. But what I like about this is that it still has this molten outside, this rocky outside. So this is a wonderful grounding stone. It's also good for meditation, since it can kind of take you to the higher realms with these colors. But don't be afraid to just go outside and grab any sort of stone. It will work just fine in your grounding activities. You can also use darker crystals like obsidian. I can't think of others right now, but there are plenty. You can do some research. But I had a great Reiki teacher who reminded me you can just go outside, grab a rock, and use that to ground you. Or if you want to meditate by a tree, that will also work. All right, let's now take a look at your wealth card. Wealth includes anything that really involves not just money, but how you're making your money, how you're making your living. It can be related to school, and for those of you retired, it can just be a relationship to money. So I'm going to use Lord Ganesha this month because I love the fact that Lord Ganesha focuses on overcoming obstacles. So if there are any obstacles, fears, or concerns with your money, this should help you overcome them. So we have healing. So if there's anything in your investment portfolio in your or respect to your credit cards or whatever, where you have debt, negative income, or something that's not performing to your liking. To me, healing when I'm looking at wealth is about fixing something that isn't working. So if your APR rate is too high, if your financing rate on your mortgage is too high, this is a chance to look at, can I reduce that? Can I refinance? Is there an investment that I want to get rid of, divest, and remove from this sort of burden that I have? The other thing is just getting more comfortable with how you feel about money, how money is in your life. And so this is a card where if in your past you've had a negative experience or you're worried about repeating something, this card is telling you to work on the fears and realize that the future is completely within your control. The past already happened. So focus on what you can do to make a better tomorrow. All right, now let's take a look and see what's coming through for love and relationships. This is a subtle but important message: love who you are. And I do believe that this is really important. You know, a lot of times here in modern society, we're focusing much more on trying to find that someone can complete a missing part of us, or we think that a soulmate is that missing piece. No, you have to actually feel whole before you go into a relationship. And this card is about practicing more of that soul searching, that soul mending, and realizing that the first love of your life should be the fact that you're happy with who you are, what you're doing, and feeling that you don't need someone, but that you want someone. If you're in a current relationship, this is actually speaking to continuing to work on your own growth opportunities and celebrating your partner's growth opportunities as well, helping them see how valuable they are, not just to you, but to themselves. So really both of you practicing self-worth and knowing that you're stronger because of what you bring to each other, but you don't complete one another, you complement. So I think that's the subtle sort of change or shift of thinking that you can focus on this month. So let's take a look now at your destiny. Your destiny card is really your GPS to see if you're happy about the direction that you're headed in, or if you want to make a course correction. And this month we have a transformative card, Thunder and Lightning Power. When I look at this, I really see a modified tower. It's reminding you of the power that you have within to create the change. This is a tower that you create, that you control, and that you steer. So your question is, are you ready for whatever this journey is that's ahead of you, and are you ready to make the changes? You are the agent of change in this particular tower card. It's not happening to you, you're creating it. So harness the energy within, know that when you're ready, it's there for you, and also realize that once you've sort of set it into motion, there's no stopping it. It's just like electricity. And also I feel like once you begin this transformation, this change, it happens sort of without you having to put a lot of energy into it. So I see rapid change happening for you over the course of 2018 if you decide to continue to embark on some of the shifts that I'm seeing here. Some of you, this could involve, again, a move, a change of job, but you have a chance this month to think about it. And this is a very sort of pensive 10 of Wands. So take your time, and when you're ready, you can activate that energy that we're seeing right here. Let's go ahead and review everything that we covered today. The channeled information was to make sure that you're taking time to nurture yourself and to nurture others. That's especially true when we look at the Five of Pentacles card, which can come up when other people are feeling left out, neglected, or may even be carrying some sort of, you know, a burden that you don't know about. So get to know them, get to understand them. They could also be carrying a grudge. And this is a chance to sort of clear the air and let people know that it's okay, that you don't feel the same way. Then when we looked at your Catalyst card this month, noticing, of course, with the tree in reverse that grounding is off. We talked about the grounding stone, different meditation styles. That also came up in your, when we were looking at the health card, and I'll talk about that again in a moment. But there's a lot that you can do to ground yourself. The other thing is this has to do with family. So there may be a need or some sort of an emergency that arises where your family is going to need more of your time. You can give as much as you can, and then there may be a point where you have to do practice self-care, nurture yourself, and let them know that you also need rest, or that there's some limits to what you can do. let's pull the camera down and we'll review all of the cards and placements as well. As I said at the beginning of the reading, your big opportunity this month is with regards to relationships. We have the Four of Wands, which is very balanced, and we go to the Ten of Wands, also balanced. In between, though, there's a lot of movement this month. A reminder as you're moving through opportunities and relationships to not be defensive, to accept criticism, try not to be overly aggressive with other people too. Instead, communicate when you need help, and also ask them if they need help. That's that nurturing card coming through again. I think that whatever you put your mind to this month, you have a very good chance of executing, because we have the Three of Wands moving to the Ten of Wands. Very, very good. So a lot of energy in thinking, in doing, in working. Not a lot in relationships, unless, of course, you're trying to fix a relationship. As we look at how you can bring balance to everything this month, it is through this sort of playful energy that we see with the Six of Cups. And that's something that can be brought about by nature, by children, also just by going back to the simple things and really getting to know people that you're spending time with. Letting go of old drama and emotions and really focusing on assuming the best of others is also something that will help you. Reining in your emotions and maybe channeling that into creativity if you're feeling a little bit emotionally not yourself. Take some time. That's the other thing. Remember, grounding and nurturing yourself. Know that if there's any fears of confrontation or difficult conversations, the other person probably holds just as much fear or nerves as you may have. So just assume the best of them and enter it with an open heart and an open mind. We talked at great length about the Five of Pentacles, focusing on bringing balance to your checkbook, also making sure that other people feel validated in your life, and focusing on your internal health. We talked a lot about the Ten of Wands as well. I see that you're headed towards a big decision, but you have plenty of time to make it. So think hard and long before you go down that path. When we look at this from simply a chakra perspective, this is speaking to your first chakra, so I do want you to practice grounding. This can be done through diet, which we talked about, eating root vegetables or anything that's grown in the earth. Also meditating using a rock or meditating against a tree, and just taking care of your mind and body. Again, letting go of regret, which we see a thread of here when we're looking at the deep past, moving past those sort of painful emotional experiences. Looking at your finances, trying to come up with a way to move past debt or to erase any sort of negative returns that you might be getting on investments. So it's a time to look, to revise, and to repair, and that's really what the healing note is. This is also saying that if you heal yourself emotionally, then whatever habits you might be having with money, you're going to let go of those, because sometimes we try to sort of make up for what's missing in our lives by spending, and really what needs to be done is internal healing. And then when we look at love, it's really falling in love with who you are, who you're becoming, and knowing that that's going to be what calls in love, situations, and relationships that are of a higher frequency in your life. Finally, your catalyst card is really exciting, actually. If you are ready to make a change in your life, this card is saying, buckle your seatbelt. It's going to happen pretty fast. So get everything in order, get all your ducks in order, and that's what this Ten of Wands is saying. Plan ahead, and then once you're ready to activate, things will happen at a pretty rapid clip. Overall, an exciting month for you, and as long as you practice self-care and nurturing those around you, I think you'll be able to navigate all the challenges that the month brings. So that brings our monthly reading to a close, but if you'd ever like to reach out to me for more clarity on what's going on in your life, I do offer one-on-one readings. You can check out the description area below, and you can follow that link for rates and availability. If you'd just like to stay in touch, the easiest way to do so is to click on the subscribe button and also that little bell icon, and that will let you know when I have new videos on the channel. I also have a newsletter, and that's a great way to get it right into your inbox, so I encourage you to sign up if you'd like. If you're more of a Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter person, feel free to join me on those social networks as well. Also, if you found that this was just a helpful monthly reading and you'd like to give back in some way to this channel, there are several ways to do that. You can do it as little as $1 a month through Patreon, or a one-time donation if you'd like to through my channel. Again, as little as $1. That would be very helpful and appreciated. Finally, and most importantly, I just want to end the video with gratitude. I'm so happy that each of you come here month to month to focus on personal development. I really want us all to grow not just our intellect, but also our light, because this planet needs that at this point in time, and I really want you to focus on your personal development, whether it's with me or with someone else. And I just want to thank you this month for choosing to spend some time here. Continue to do what you do, shine brightly, and know that from my heart to yours, I wish you all the best. Take care. See you soon.